Welcome to Talking Mopars, episode number 155. This is part 2 of the live stream that I recorded on Saturday night with my friend Bill Adams, the president of the Chrysler Club. So, without further ado, if you are a Mopar enthusiast, then you are in the right place. Don't go anywhere. You're tuned into the best Mopar enthusiast-driven podcast on planet Earth, and I am your host, Chris Albrecht, better known as the Mopar Hunter, and this is Talking Mopars.
You're listening to Talking Mopars with the Mopar Hunter, your direct connection to all things Mopar.
I wanted to ask you, these days we can open an AMD catalog and get parts for muscle cars, almost whatever we need. But I imagine with those older, like the Chrysler 300s and stuff, and anything pre-64, or even just pre-muscle car era, it's got to be really hard to find parts for those cars. What resources do you use when you're restoring these things?
Yes and no. Like any other Chrysler or Mopar guy, we hoard parts, right?
Okay. Yeah.
That's how we all do it. Yes, that's when I go to the concours, you always hear, man, I like Chryslers, but holy cow, restoring them, you can't find parts for them.
Yeah.
Well, yes, they can be tough to find parts, but parts are out there. You just got to know the right people. So if you're in the group, so if you're connected, but it doesn't mean it's not, tough to do. They're still tough to restore. If you find an original 300 letter car, and you're missing too many parts, you're screwed.
Yeah.
If it's a real letter car, those were such low production, they made anywhere, usually made less than 1,000 convertibles and, less than 2,000 of the coupes. It may be worth it to restore them. So it just really depends.
Yeah. It's
like but those are out there. That it is intimidating, but it's like forward look cars, like Gary Hergert, Gary and Tom. They know all the people. You look at what Mike McCandless has been able to do with Herb McCandless's son, with all his stuff, because he's paying big money to do it. Another thing, one of the other things about Mopars I don't like hearing is a lot of kids say, I love Mopars, but they're just too expensive. Like, I could never afford them.
Yeah.
Well, that's a bunch of crap. I mean, Chris, you're I'm no rich guy, but it really depends on if you're passionate about the cars, and you're willing to start somewhere, and you're willing to do the work yourself. That's the big key. And you're willing to learn. You can get anything. You start by a Duster. I mean, how tough is it to find a Duster, a Dart? 4-door cars are pretty popular these days, and that's fantastic. Start there, and I guarantee if you keep your, as you well know, as the Mopar hunter, you keep your ear to the ground. Pretty soon, stuff starts to come to the surface. Pretty soon, there's some deals come up, and you can, look at Mike Coffey. He's Mike Coffey. I know Mike a little bit, but I think Mike's just a wheeler dealer.
He's a wheeler and dealer.
But look at him. He's got Hemi cars. He's got.
Oh yeah.
And that's why is that? Just because he's a sharp guy. He keeps his ear to the ground. He buys and sells and he trades up and to get what he wants. And he's out there competing with Mopars 5150.
Yeah, Mike's one of the reasons why I ended up with a 72 Roadrunner anyway, because I was really reluctant to even put my truck out there to see if anybody would give me what I wanted for it or trade me something better. And he was always, trade up. And it worked for me. And it's funny because, going back to when people say, oh, Mopars are just too expensive and stuff, it's like, yeah, if you want a 68 Charger RT,
Not only that, but you can still find small blocks. You can still find big blocks. Well,
Yeah.
there's 440. Every motorhome out there, or 70s motorhome's got usually a big block in it, a 440.
Yeah.
And yeah, it may have a cast crank in it, but the parts are out there. You find
Hmm.
a small block or a big block Mopar in a wrecking yard, and if it turns over, I guarantee it'll run, and
Yeah.
90% of the time it'll run well.
Yeah.
You can't say that about a Chevy motor. They're usually beat to shit.
Yeah.
So, so the Chrysler's too expensive is a bit of a canard, in my opinion. But so you can, if you're passionate about it and you're willing to put in the time and the energy and do the work yourself, you can be in this hobby too at any level you want to be.
Yeah, and you just have to, a lot of people want that instant gratification. And for me,
Yes,
it took me many years to work my way up to just a 72 Roadrunner. You know what
your
I mean?
first car, your
But
first car's not going to be a wing car.
no,
I hate to
definitely
break it
not.
to you.
Um, but
Yeah,
you know,
unless you can go for a 4-door 57 Plymouth,
yeah, yeah.
the wings just go the other way on that one.
um, I'm a firm believer in trading or selling upwards and just getting. That's why, like I've said it on the show many times. Get yourself any Mopar and just build your engine and just think of it that okay, when I can afford that 68 Charger shell, I'm at least gonna have an engine for it. You know what I mean? Um,
Right.
it's just a matter of it's definitely not the 80s and 90s anymore, but you can there still are deals to be had. I see them all the time. Um,
Yep,
but
there are deals to be had, and if you, like, as you well know, once if you get your ear to the ground and you start, it's kind of like you get in the zone,
mhm.
And when you're in the zone, all of a sudden deals are just bubbling to the surface.
Yeah.
Stuff's just popping, and pretty soon there's opportunities come, and somebody always needs money right now,
Yeah.
you know, and so sometimes that 68 Charger that it's got no motor, it's got a broke a worn out 318 in it that should be 10 grand. Um, and the guy also, if you give him 5 grand right now, you can have it.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. But that stuff happens.
It does.
Um, so, but we've gone after as the Chrysler Club to try to stay more relevant and keep more folks attracted and to see the value of the club. We've started to advertise in Mopar Collector's Guide, and we're going to offer a digital membership to anybody for 6 months for free.
Oh, cool.
And we've started to reach out to some influencers, typically younger folks that are Chrysler nuts. And I say Chrysler, I mean any Mopar,
Yeah.
period. There's a guy in South Carolina, Austin Swanger. He's 28 years old, and since he was 17, he's been coming out to California, buying cars at wrecking yards, fixing them, and driving them to North Carolina. He's done that like 9 times.
Wow.
He started with a 57 Plymouth. He did a 59 Plymouth. He's done a 72 Dodge. I mean, and he's just a kid that likes to go out and do this stuff.
Wow.
But that's another one. He's a wheeler dealer, and he's traded up and bought and moved up, and he's a neat guy. But he does a lot of the work himself. He's not afraid to dig into a project, and we're hoping that by leveraging his influence and other similar ones, we can bring more people into the fold.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because if we can just give some of these kids, younger people at any age, encouragement, a little bit, hopefully we can infect them with the fatal disease
Yeah.
that
Well, if so,
we'll all have until the day where we go to the great wrecking yard in the sky.
yeah. If somebody wanted to join the club, what website can they go to?
ChryslerClub.org.
ChryslerClub.org.
Right.
Um, I'm going to put a little banner on the chat just so that I encourage you right now, if you're in the chat, 6 months for free. Join the club.
Yeah, my actually my phone number and my contact, my email is on the page.
Okay.
You can reach out to me and let me know, and I will make sure and get you a 6-month digital subscription. Typically, the dues are $40 a year. We have regions in different parts of the country. We usually try to connect people up with regions. And what we promote, of course, is going out and driving, touring,
Yeah.
getting your cars out. And again, our big shtick is we want to preserve the history
100%.
because we think it's worth preserving.
And that's why when you reached out to me about coming on the show and talking about early Chrysler stuff, I was like, yes, absolutely. Because like I said, admittedly, I don't know enough and I don't know as much as I should about the early stuff. So any
It was
information I can get.
fascinating history. The Airflow was a huge marketing flop when it came out, but but it's an engineering marvel. I mean,
Yeah.
in the commercial for the Airflow, they drove it off a cliff.
Really?
It endoed off a cliff, landed on the door flung open, it landed on its wheels, and they drove it away.
That is insane. Wow.
It was the first one of the first unibody construction cars. Mopar had the first curved glass windshield was in a 35 Airflow limousine.
Really?
Yes. The one-piece safety wheels was engineered by Chrysler. Ball and ball carburetors were largely engineered by Chrysler. The Lockheed hydraulic brakes was largely engineered by Chrysler. In 39, Chrysler had electric wipers. Ford had vacuum wipers clear up through the 50s.
Crazy. What a storied history. Are there any good books about the entire history of Chrysler that you know of?
Yeah, there's of course the Walter Chrysler's biography was called The Life of an American Workman. That's a good question, Chris. Yes, there are a few good books. I can't think of the titles right off the top of my head, but
they exist.
They do exist.
Okay, I'm gonna have to.
And it's fascinating. Any of the early automotive history, the industrial age, in my opinion, that all that history is just fantastic. Because again, these characters, Walter Chrysler was larger than life, and these guys were all big, massive egos. When they went into a room, they went into a room. Walter Chrysler, so it's not confirmed, but in 1924, when he couldn't get, of course you had the in crowd, and he was still not part of the in crowd in 1924.
Mm-hmm.
The New York Auto Show was the big auto show in the early days, but everybody went to the hotel, and then the auto show was actually up the road a piece. Well, they wouldn't let Chrysler in because he just wasn't part of the in crowd. For whatever, or he was too late getting in, who knows? But he was such a character. What he did was he leased the entire lobby of the Commodore Hotel, which is now the Trump Hotel in New York City. And so it infuriated his competitors because he put Chryslers in the lobby of the Commodore Hotel, so they saw his cars before they went to the damn auto show.
That is hilarious.
But it's just fantastic. It's thinking out of the box, huge thinking like that. That's just, it's just fantastic. And there's another rumor that says he was still trying to get financing for Chrysler then, and he asked one of his buddies from Chase, the bank, to sit in his Chrysler, and he wouldn't let him out of it until he agreed to give him some financing or give him a meeting. I don't know how true that is, but that's just a pervasive rumor.
Wow.
So, but I believe it based on the characters some of these people were.
Yeah. How funny.
Here's the other thing. The Dodge brothers, Horace and John Dodge, famously said when the media asked them in 1914, why would you start your own auto company after becoming a multimillionaire, building Ford and Oldsmobile products? or mechanical product pieces. They said, well, we knew there are a lot of Ford owners out there that would like to own an automobile someday. They were they were they were quoted in the press as saying that. So it just and they famously used to go around in the bars in Detroit at night and get into fights.
Wow.
Some of the richest men in the world at the time.
That is crazy.
So just the stories and the history, it's just fascinating.
Um, let's chat a little. I know it feels almost wrong to do without Mr. Painter here. Um, how do you feel about this next Muscle Cars at the Strip? I'm pretty excited about it, and I know plenty of other people are excited.
Well, I think thanks in part to you coined. Did you start the project cars at the Strip?
Funny story. Mike Coffey reached out to me and asked me if, because he's in the process of building a 71 Barracuda that he's basically cloning into a 4-speed Hemi Cuda.
Yeah, I
And
saw that.
he reached out to me one day while I was at work and said, "Hey, is your Roadrunner going to be ready for mats?" And it basically, that conversation spawned into a challenge. He's basically challenging me to get it ready so we could get our cars there. And it kind of escalated and snowballed, and we got some other people involved. And um, I hadn't talked to Phil about it at the time, and I was like, I probably should tell Phil, because I like to promote things, and I really I got excited about the idea of a project car challenge, and I wanted to have Phil's support, so I reached out to him and just came up with the hashtag Project Cars at the Strip, and Phil was totally on board, more on board than I thought he was going to be, uh, and with just the idea that we can get a lot more people to mats. Um, I told him that I've been to a few events that embrace project cars, and it seems like it's so, there's so many people that have project cars, and it's always fun to get that little extra motivation to get to an event. And
Well, I think
Muscle
that's
Cars at the Strip is
fantastic
a great
too. And
event.
look at what Freiberger has done with the whole duct tape drags thing. I mean, that's become huge,
Yeah,
massive.
that was a big inspiration for Project Cars at the Strip, because I went to that event and I was just like, okay, there are a ton of people here to see. Let's be honest, a lot of shit boxes, and
Yeah, no doubt.
I didn't want a bunch of shit, because that's kind of like Freiberger's thing.
Yeah,
I didn't really want to say, oh yeah, bring your shit box to Muscle Cars at the Strip, but I know there's a lot of awesome project cars out there, and they're cool cars. They just don't have $100,000, restorations. And I think giving people a platform to show off what is in progress is always fun. My car is a lot farther along than some of the projects, but a project car is a project car. You know what I mean?
I
And
think it's fantastic, and it's been neat seeing Phil. I've worked with Phil for a lot of years, and nobody works harder. That guy, um, that guy is a machine. Watching him walk around SEMA and talk to some of these people. Phil, first of all, Phil knows everybody.
yeah,
I mean, Phil knows everybody, everybody. So he's somebody good to know. But watching him walk around and work the guys at that show, because he works them for sponsorships. He doesn't put
yeah,
that show on. He works them for sponsorships, and they promise him things, and then sometimes they come through, and a lot of times they don't. But he'll go around and he'll you know say, I'm a show promoter and I've got a Las Vegas show. Oh yeah, I've heard of it, or nope, never heard of it. And you know he's got to basically pitch him in a couple of sentences
yeah,
to get a sponsorship. Um, and he's gotten some real loyal sponsors over the years. The guy Bob at ARP Fasteners, he's just a neat guy. And him and Phil have become good friends. Um, but that show is alive and continues to be alive because of Phil's hard work.
yeah,
And so it was fantastic seeing him, Chris, honestly, be so invigorated when, seeing how much of a life the Project Cars at the Strip has taken on. You know,
yeah,
he's gone through a lot of ups and downs with that show. Mopar, Mopar, as much as I hate to say it, Mopar, Chrysler, Dodge, they can be their own worst enemy.
hmm
And for any of us that have worked in corporate America, it's at some point in time, you got to talk to an attorney for everything.
Yeah.
And so, unfortunately, Phil had the attorneys breathing down his neck a few of the years, which he shouldn't have.
Yeah.
It was before the Challenger and the muscle cars came around, which was great to see. You wanted to march every Chrysler executive down to the parking lot and say, "You see all these guys racing these old Mopars? You know what they're driving? You know what they're towing their race car to the track with? A brand new truck.
Yeah.
And if you treat them right, they'll buy a Mopar.
Yeah.
It doesn't take much, but you do it right, and they'll buy a Mopar." So, um, but he's done a great job keeping it alive, and if it continues to stay alive and show signs of progress, I think he'll continue to invest in it, and mostly that means his time and effort. Money for sure,
Yeah.
but mostly Phil is the machine that makes that work.
And I think that's lost on a lot of people. When they go to if a regular car enthusiast goes to an event, he doesn't think about how much work is really involved, especially when you talk about a facility like Las Vegas Motor Speedway. To hold an event at a facility like that, it blows my mind. Every time I've been to Musclecars at the Strip, I'm just like, this is crazy.
Well, and the fact that he's one guy, you went to Holly Moparty, right?
Yeah,
And that was pretty cool, I guess.
it was pretty cool. Yeah, I like it.
But that's Holly. You have a corporation with a team of people putting on a show.
Yeah, and they outsource. They have a whole marketing company that
Yeah,
runs their events. You know what
right.
I mean? So,
So with Phil to put on that show, you got one guy.
yeah,
So the fact that he and a team of a few volunteers that are gluttons for punishment. Um, but it's really and the fact that he can do that and continue to get dates from the motors. It takes a lot to get the because Las Vegas Motor Speedway is owned by Speedway Corporation. That's a big company. And so for one guy to continue every year getting dates says a lot about that one guy.
It absolutely does. Um, it's like I said, there's
So
just so much people don't understand. And when I talk to Phil, he blows my mind every time I talk to him because I can hear the passion he has about his event, but I know how much when he talks about how much work it is. Like I can just hear it in his voice. I'm just like, man, I don't want your job. Like it's just so much work. And the event is just really cool. And I've talked to a lot of old school Mopar guys that were like, oh yeah, I loved it when it was Mopars at the Strip. And I'm like, they just took Mopars out of it. It can still be Mopars at the Strip. You just got to bring your Mopars. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to,
one of the best, and I know there's a part of me which is just open to the Strip still too, but
yeah,
so Phil's trying to get sponsors. He can't afford to do that. Nobody can. So
no,
in the effort to get sponsors, you can't keep getting sponsors for just Mopar,
mhm,
and Dodge showed up a couple times, and that was great, but you can't, they can't tell you, they'll show up if they show up.
yeah,
You know, you can't build a show around the maybe a wish that Dodge will and SRT will show up.
yeah,
And again, as much as I like old school Mopars, and we had some of the early stuff came there. That's why I like some of the other show. I really want to go to Chrysler Carlisle or Hershey because I want to see some of the earlier stuff too. I like seeing some of the
yeah,
older. I like a variety of stuff. Um, but and I heard a lot of the bitching because I'm one of the guys that's around talking to people. I've been working the show since it started.
mhm,
So I've heard all of it. And I can't say I don't understand that. I understand where they're coming from, but they've got to understand if they like the show and they want to support it and they want to continue going, they need to support it by showing up.
yeah, 100%.
And it's the passion of one guy Phil and Jill, his wife, is, she's the power behind the throne for sure. But it's just not realistic to have an all Mopar, an only Mopar show in Chrysler's at Carlisle. Again, I don't know. I just had the fortune to meet Ed Bucchesi, I think you say his name. I'm hoping to go to Carlisle this next year as well. But Las Vegas and the West Coast is different for putting on car shows, especially in California here. We got, why do I want to go all the way to Las Vegas when I got a car show around, 2 blocks away from me? They're all the time during the summertime here. So you've got to put on something really special to get that many cars in the West here. In the East Coast, you got such a concentration of cars there in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And it brings in people from all over the place because of such a concentration of cars. But one of the neatest comments I heard about Matt's was I saw somebody, I think it was last year. Oh yeah, go to Matt's, you'll like it, but it's just remember it's Mopar heavy. Well, I kind of like that.
Yeah.
I like that. How many shows do we go to that are Mopar heavy? Not many.
Oh man.
So yeah, there's a lot of Mopars, and there's mostly Mopars, and we're hoping that all the other stuff comes out too.
Yeah,
we're trying to make great strides to bring more stuff out because hey, more people, more fun. But it's always going to be Mopar heavy, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah,
that should make
I have no problems with
that should make Mopar people want to show up.
Yeah,
because there's a bunch of other stuff there too, but it is Mopar heavy.
I don't know if I put myself in the position of say I had a really nice Mustang that was really fast, I'd want to go to a Mopar heavy show just to go, okay, yeah, I mentioned Mopars, huh? Just come on.
Well, I would think at
fun.
some point in time, the Mustang, the Camaro guys get sick of just being in a huge group by themselves.
Sure.
Come on out, mix it up a little bit.
That's why I like.
What are you scared of?
Yeah, that's why I like promoting Project Cars at the Strip because some of the first I'd say 10 people that responded as outside of my circle, it was pretty eclectic. We got a Grand National. There's a Nova, I think a Chevelle. I've been seeing a lot of posts, and I've been having to search for them because sometimes they forget to tag me or Matt's, so I find him under Project Cars at the Strip, and I'm like, wow. So it's not just somehow it's been reaching more than just Mopar people, so I love that. And
so they forget to put the hashtag in it or something.
Yeah, they hashtag Project Cars at the Strip, but they don't tag me or they don't tag
right.
Musclecars at the Strip. But I have a feeling, and I was telling Phil, I was like, dude, we're just scratching the surface. I'm about to go crazy with promoting this event. So
good, that's awesome, Chris. Thank you. That's
I really want to show Phil.
Kind of cool to see how much it's taken. Yeah, it's kind of neat to see how much it's taken hold. I've seen shit here in my area. There's a muffler shop in Livermore. The guy's like, yeah, I'm getting my Roadrunner ready for Project Cars at the Strip. I'm like, wow,
really?
That's awesome. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's just I just think the event is really cool, and the venue, if nothing else, the venue should get people to go. I haven't been to very many giant venues, but Las Vegas Motor Speedway is an amazing facility. It's just awesome, and it's in Las Vegas, so it's like the atmosphere of the whole thing.
Well, once you get in, it's like it's Disneyland for guys. There's so many things to do. Pictures, the racing is just phenomenal. You get the autocross, Chris Birdsong up there doing some crazy shit with his cars up in the Chris is quite a character. But everything was kind of took off, and so I think if it continues to take off, Phil will continue to put passion in it and keep the show going.
Yeah, that's why I like the event so much, and I've missed so many years. I missed like 17 of the years, 18 of the years. So I'm like, I'm just on the tail end, and I'm not ready for Phil to retire yet. So I'm trying to
Yeah.
do my part to make sure that this thing keeps going on. And I haven't even started promoting the fact that I I am excited, not just of the event itself, but to get a bunch of project cars. Because after, like in the after hours, I want to cruise all these project cars on Las Vegas Boulevard and just
So Chris,
invade.
what do you think about so we're trying to figure out what to do with the car show, because the car show is languished in years. And it's a little tough. You got asphalt, and sometimes sometimes it's hot in Vegas. Last
Mhm.
September was brutal. Um, uh, but it's tough to do the car show. There has been, and Phil and I have been kind of brainstorming about um, how to get a better car show there. Do we need to, you had an idea for some of the trophies,
Yeah.
do the WWE belt.
Oh, you just blew it. That was supposed to be a surprise.
Was it? I'm sorry,
Yeah, that's
Chris.
okay. Okay, so if you're watching the show right now, I had this crazy idea that instead of a trophy, I know car shows are notorious for trophies, and trophies are awesome, but it's Las Vegas. It's the fight capital of the world.
Yeah.
I found a company that makes championship belts, and I made a mock-up of a Muscle Cars at the Strip, Project Cars at the Strip championship belt that I think the winner of
Well, that's
Project
the
Cars
kind
at
of
the Strip
thing
will
we
get.
got. We got to talk. We got to spread around. Well,
Yeah.
do we have? Has Phil said, yeah, let's do it?
Yeah, he wants to do because I said, "Look, I'll pay for it. That's how much I
So
want.
so
That's
how
how much I
can
want
we?
it."
Yeah, that's awesome. And Steve Hinckley is pretty much retired from running the car show. So I think,
Mhm.
um, I think myself and my brothers and whoever Phil wants, pretty much running the car show. So, but let's do, the car show needs some help.
Okay.
So much akin in the spirit of pushing the envelope. What do we got to lose? Let's try it out.
Yeah.
Let's see if let's do something bold, to get more of a car show turnout.
Yeah.
Um, and in the years, there have been years where you tried. I mean, OE judging. Seriously, it was OE gold standard judging. This is not the venue for that, I don't think. Um, um, even though we want those cars out there because everybody appreciates
Yeah.
the details on those cars. Um, and two of the cars, the Daytona and the yellow AAR Cuda, are at McCacken now, and I think the yellow AAR Cuda just won an award um, for his attention to detail
Oh,
on
wow.
that, and that came from Matt's.
Yeah.
So so it's imperative to get cars of that quality out there.
Yeah.
I think he won World's Ultimate Mopar. Um, so we need to get all of the cars out there we can, but we also need to let's mix it up a little bit and see what we can do to promote the show and get more people, um, uh, to bring their cars out to show them. Now, and then one of the cool things about Vegas is, hey, you can show it and race it. You
Yeah.
can do both.
Yeah.
People do
That's
that all the time. They say, "Hey, just park me on the outside or park me in a place I can get in and get out because
yeah.
I gotta hit the staging lanes to to race the car."
One thing, and I don't know how it would work at Muscle Cars of the Strip, but one of my favorite local events for me is there's a Good Guys show that happens, and it's on Puyallup Fairgrounds, in Puyallup, Washington. And what they do is, aside from the car show itself, is it's fairgrounds. So they allow you at any time to just cruise the fairgrounds. Obviously, you're not going fast; you're cruising, and it just adds a whole different dimension to the event because you can get in and cruise around. And it's one of my favorite events because of that, because you can only look at so many cars for so long before you're like, man, I just kind of want to drive. So you just jump in your car and you drive, and you can look at cars while you're driving. It, it's very, very cool. And it would be fun if there was like a loop or something that guys could do, so they jump in their car and just cruise around, maybe through the pits or something. Uh, because it's low speed, it's the danger is pretty low. I've never heard of anything happening bad at Puyallup Fairground, and there's people everywhere. Um, and the idea, if we hadn't gotten a golf cart last year, Johnny Mopar and I were going to just cruise around in my rental. I got a wide body Scat Pack Charger rental car, and I was like, we can just cruise around low speed and just get video. We'll put GoPros on the outside of the car and we'll just cruise around like that.
Yeah, a lot of people do that anyway.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
hmm,
also, it's Vegas, the nightlife. How late can we stay at the track?
it's a good question. I think we got the track all weekend.
Okay.
So I think we can stay at the track, and Phil's gone to great lengths to last year you got a band out there, and for years we had
yeah.
the cannery, which people got kind of butthurt about, that because we used to do, and that was a pretty cool deal. Leave the track about 4 or 5 in the afternoon, go to the cannery. They had what's called quarter mile of Mopars outside the cannery, and then if you had a really neat car, or you got invited in the cannery. Whereas actually into the outdoor concert area, we were allowed to park our cars out there. Some of them, only a select few.
Yeah.
But we had celebrities' cars, and we had Jay Leno was there one year signing
Cool.
with Bob Riggle, and then one night it'd have the car show, and then the next night it'd be a concert. Phil always brought some. It's Vegas, so there's all sorts of different bands to choose from. But the cannery changed hands, and the new owners didn't want a damn thing to do with a bunch of old cars, no matter how cool
that's
they were.
unfortunate.
So there's and people were all butthurt over that, but Phil had nothing. Phil was kind of, I wouldn't say bitter, but he was a little pissed. He said, I came in, I brought these people, the cannery for 15 years. He filled up their casino in every aspect of it for an entire weekend, and all of a sudden it's don't call me back. All right, see you later. So, and then one year he did the downtown Las Vegas Event Center. I mean, we had a big, huge amphitheater outside with cars all over it, a rock concert and a car show. It was badass.
I don't even think we need the cannery. We got Las Vegas Motor Speedway and a huge lot to do. I think my favorite part of Musclecars at the Strip was when the sun set, because I just love the aesthetic. It's Las Vegas, you know what I mean? And like I said, I'm not sure how late we can stay, but I think keeping it going into the night, obviously not too crazy late, but late into the night is always fun. I also I haven't really talked to Phil too much about it, but all these other events I go to, man, they have a burnout pit where people can get in there, and it's got jersey barriers all around it, so it's completely safe, and people go in there and just roast tires and just have fun. That's in today's day and age, and car shows and events like that, I think it's almost a necessity. So
okay, I think we've done that in the past, but
have you?
I'm pretty sure.
And I've also been promoting people, because they're asking about their project cars, like, can we run them? And I say, if they can pass tech inspection, take them down the track.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
the tech inspection, they any car will go down. If you want to try to take, even if you want to just do a time only, go up, tell the tech guy just want to do a time only. We don't want to bring a bunch of cars that are going to do oil down the track, and screw up the racing the whole time. But
100%.
Yeah, by all means, one of the coolest parts of getting a new car put together is running it down the strip. I've always been a big proponent of that, because so many people have fast cars, but they've never actually taken them down the strip.
Yeah.
I got an 11-second car. How do you know? Well, because I raced a guy who said he had a 10-second car, or a 12-second car, and I beat it.
Yeah.
Okay, sure you did.
Yeah.
Well, maybe your car's capable of 11 seconds, but are you as a driver capable of it? That's a big deal.
I just, with car events, I found that little attractions, for some reason, I think it all adds up. So I think if you had an event, obviously you've got the car show, drag racing, autocross. I think you throw a burnout pit in there, make it big enough where they can do Australian style burnouts. That's always fun.
So what's that? A burnout upside down?
Yeah, basically. every event I've been to that has a burnout pit, it seems to be a huge attraction. It's just I love watching people tear their shit up. I think it's fun.
Who doesn't tire smoke and race
Yeah,
gas? I mean, who doesn't
yeah,
like that?
I love it. But I think an interesting aspect, and I would have to, I don't know logistically how it would work, but I know it's possible because I've seen it in uh a venue like a fairground. If there was a set route through the event where people could jump in their car. That's one of the funnest things about owning these cars is driving them or hearing other people drive their cars and hearing the engines and stuff. I love a car show as much as anybody, but the cool thing about that Good Guys show is that when you're done cruising, you park your car back in your spot. And usually people respected, oh, that spot's already taken.
Right.
So you can take off, go cruise for 10 minutes, park your car again. And it's open to, um obviously you want to tell them, hey, we're going to be judging cars at this time, so make sure your car's there at that spot. But i think I think having the drag racing, the autocross, and then having cars just cruising around all day, I think would add just something else, something a little bit fun. Because like I said, I really want to get a bunch of people when the doors are closed for the night, go, all right, now we're all going to go cruise the strip and go cruise Las Vegas Boulevard too.
Right.
uh it's the interactive, and like what Johnny Mopar said, where is it? He said, a cruise adds a great live energy to an event. Friday night out of the heat, I think, is the way to go.
You said a
Yeah,
great love energy to the event.
he meant live, but it is
Oh,
a love
those
energy too.
Southern
We all
California boys, they're pass, passing
love
the love
energy.
around.
But there's just a couple little ideas. I don't know. I haven't really brought them up to Phil yet. I would. I wish he was here to run those by him, but
I think he's at McGacken.
oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's where I would like to be right now too.
Yeah, me
um,
too.
every time I see that
Phil tried to
event,
convince me to go, but it was just too
yeah,
close. I can only, yeah, like you, Chris. I only get so much leeway.
me
My
too.
leash is only so long.
It really bums me out. I just, but I'll have to have a conversation with him. Just throw out a couple ideas. If you talk to him before I do, feel free to mention the ideas. But anything we can do to add, anything else to promote, like, hey, I don't know any other event aside from the Good Guys that I went to, and I'm sure they're out there, where you can actually just cruise around the event. Obviously it's got to be responsible. You can't be an asshole when you're doing it. Just cruise around,
Well,
slow
you
speed, and just have fun.
can kind of do that, but I don't think people know that they can really cruise around, because you can cruise. Yeah, well, as you know, you walk from the autocross to the
Hmm.
drag strip to the car show a few times,
Yeah,
and that's a hell of a walk.
yeah.
So you need your golf cart or a car to putt
Hmm.
around. And so quite a few people do that, but I don't think, people we really made it known that you could do or it's okay to do it with your own car.
Yeah,
Um, but it would be interesting to make the car show more of an interactive process.
yeah. um
Um,
so obviously Phil's, I mean, I was really surprised, not that I thought he was going to say no to Project Cars as a Strip or anything like that, but he was so like, yeah, he, I could tell he was a little bit enthusiastic about it. I was like, wow, this is Phil's a pretty,
which is secretly funny because Phil doesn't like project cars.
I know he doesn't. That's it. I thought he was going to shoot me down so hard.
He had there's a few times when he's had his daughter's ex-boyfriend had a Duster that was parked at his house, and Phil's house is immaculate. I call it the porn palace because it's like the typical Las Vegas big huge kidney-shaped swimming pool with a waterfall and a slide.
Oh,
But he's had, yeah. I had the interior of a Chrysler 61 300G stored there in one of his bays for like a month, and he just, oh, this crap is driving me nuts. Calm down.
I could
Phil.
hear him saying that too. No, he makes it well known. Ratty shit boxes. Like when I talk to it's hilarious, and
Yep.
it makes me want even more project cars to show up just to go. See, Phil?
Absolutely. This is how you will be known forevermore.
Yeah. Oh, um, but you can't, and the conversations I have with them, I go, look, man, I've been to all the events. Not everybody can afford a fully restored, you know what I mean? Like, if you want the younger crowd to, these guys have project cars that are many years before they're going to be fully restored, but maybe they run and drive, you know?
Well, and it was suggested that we start letting imports in, and I don't think that's our crowd personally.
No,
Um,
I
and
don't
so
see it.
I don't,
However,
that was something I said. Yeah. So I just, I don't see that crowd mixing well with our crowd. It's too much, um, too much, they're, that's a different crowd. So, but I think
it
the
is a
the
different crowd.
project cars,
Well,
um,
I grew up during the high when the imports were at their peak during when the
yes,
Fast and Furious first came out. I was 16 years old, and
right,
I see a lot of those guys that were my age then are now driving new Challengers and new Chargers and stuff. They grew
yes,
up and out of the imports into those cars, and I saw a lot of those types of cars at Muscle Cars at the Strip, which was cool. So I don't even think you need the import guys. You just need to let all the modern muscle car guys know, hey, this is
yes,
also
yep.
happening. You guys are more than welcome to show up. Um,
Well, that's why that's where we're going to get our next enthusiasts, because
mhm.
I think, speaking for myself and seeing it happen to a few others, the new enthusiasts are going to come from the modern muscle car crowd, or kids, um, that really like these old, these whole shit boxes,
Yeah.
that we drive around. But even the modern muscle cars, as they progress in the hobby and the disease, um, they become more interested in the history. It's a
Hmm.
natural progression. If you're truly infected,
Yeah.
you become more interested in what's, what the different cars came with, and what the history, was. And so, um, that's the only way. But some of those muscle cars, not all of them, even not probably not a lot of them, but a few of them are going to become true devout, uh, car guys, or car people,
Hmm.
infected forever.
Yeah.
And, those, if we have the opportunity to help further the disease at any level, then we want to take that.
Yeah. And going back to the import thing, um, like I said, I was very young when that stuff was really popping, and it's funny because there was an import show, and I've been to it many times. It's called Hot Import Nights, and it was like the import version of Hot August Nights, except for hot. And I think it still goes on today. They go around the country. It's an event that goes around the country, but they really embraced like the night, uh, the nightlife aspect of it. And I really think that Muscle Cars at the Strip would be cool if they embraced the nighttime of the event a little bit more. Um,
So how would we? So we would we do a? Remember last year he had a stage.
yeah,
Um, we had a stage up there where we announced the trophies, and we had the rock concert, which didn't really get a big deal. Um, and then there was a couple guys, Musto and Mike Kinney, on stage talking about cars, and getting the crowd interactive, but it didn't really seem to take hold. So how could we do that? So have everything shut down at night and have that be the only thing? Problem is there was so many other things going on at the same time.
yeah, and I think I mean, they're going to shut down drag racing at some point during the evening. Um, I love watching drag racing at night too, so that's kind of
Yeah,
the
that's
thing.
pretty badass.
Um, I mean, who doesn't love watching night drags? You know what I mean? Uh,
Yep.
I think to be honest, I think it was just a matter of the amount of people that were there. We need to figure out how to get more people there. And the more people are there, they're going to be people at the racetrack. There's going to be people at the show still. I think it's a matter of just really just keep pushing forward, keep doing the same stuff, but with a little, like, I like the idea of the stage. What messed me up last year was doing that rally. As fun as it was, I was like, why the hell? I was telling Johnny, and we were all kind of on the same page. It's like, why did we leave the awesome show to go on this drive out into the desert?
Right.
Like, I regretted it. I regret it was fun, but I regretted it. I was like, we should have stayed at, you know.
Okay.
But I really think there's got to be. We're gonna have to brainstorm about it, but there's got to be a way to really embrace the night thing. I love the live band idea. I think that's cool. I do like the automotive celebrities there. Let's be honest, if we have a stage and it's in Las Vegas, why isn't there a bikini contest or something? You know what I mean? These things. This is Las Vegas. We need to, you know, let's pull out all the stops. Bikini contest,
Exactly.
burnouts.
I can get my
You know,
bikini body ready by then.
my God, yeah. um, but it's Las Vegas. Bikini contest, yeah. There's got to be a good prize though, because if we can get some of the ladies that maybe aren't even car enthusiasts after the bikini contest. But it's Las Vegas. I'm sure that would be a hell of a contest in the city of sin. But I think I mean, there's got to be something we can do to
Sure,
really
something
embrace.
flamboyant, something.
Yeah, because I mean, the families are going to be there during the day. They're not going to have a bunch of kids at night. So when the sun goes down, I think muscle cars at the Strip should light up a little bit.
Well, it does. People camping out there. I've stayed out of the track. We did the this last time we stayed at the track. It was awesome.
That was
We
another
stayed at
thing
the hotel.
another thing that happened at Duct Tape Drags that I really, really liked, and I thought it was awesome, was they
Okay,
had a bonfire.
that's what I was just
And
gonna say. Let's do some bonfires. Yeah. Hmm.
I mean, everybody was bringing beer, and it was great. Freiberger was walking around, Dulcich was getting hammered, and we were all just hanging out. Um, that it brings the car enthusiasts together. They talk cars and stuff. So if we could organize a nice area where obviously it's safe to have a fire, um, I think there's a way we can just promote the when the sun goes down, the show goes on, and
Yeah.
the event goes on. Um, so I think we need to get like a little brainstorming session with Phil and just see what we can do.
Okay. Yeah, that would be interesting. Um, muscle car bonfire. Hmm.
I'm telling you, at Duct Tape, I was amazed. It was a lot of fun in Las Vegas. Uh, the it's kind of Muscle Cars at the Strip is a little bit deceptive because the venue is so big.
Yes.
uh, which is great because that means there's room to grow and more people. I
Yep.
loved that Phil had the billboard, but I would love to throw some more stuff up there. Burnout pit, you know what I mean?
Right.
Bikini contest. You got to get I mean, women in cars. Come on, live music. Um, I know they had food there, so I can't really say much about that unless you guys allow. I don't know what the rules are, but maybe more food trucks. I don't know. But there's definitely things you can do to up the ante when the sun goes down a little bit and make it more festive. I think it should be, it's an event. It should be a festive. It should be a muscle car festival. It should be the Burning Man for muscle cars. You know what I mean? Um,
Agreed. Yeah.
and I think there's something there. Uh, I think we just
Can
need
we light
to.
a car on fire?
I mean, no Mopars, but
We'll light an import on fire.
yes, yes.
So the import guys are
Oh
invited.
my God, yeah, we're gonna be roasting marshmallows on the Honda. um, Gosh. So yeah, anybody that's watching the show or is listening to this podcast when it's released, if you have any good ideas for what we should get the ball rolling on for Las Vegas for Muscle Cars at the Strip, feel free. You can message me. You can reach out to Phil. DM him at Muscle Cars at the Strip or at MATSLV on social media. Phil,
Yeah.
as
I was going to say the Chrysler Club. Our Facebook site is it's called the WPC Club Inc., World's Largest Mopar Club on Facebook, and on Instagram we're Chrysler WPC Club, and I am Ragtops Fins and Mopars.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, and on Facebook I think I'm just Bill Adams.
I
So
I, th- I know that Phil's open minded. I know he would love nothing but concourse restoration Mopars there. But I think opening the door to trucks and
Trucks has been, yeah, I think that's phenomenal. We have had a lot of trucks in the past. We had some killer trucks in the past. So yeah,
and
absolutely.
my buddy Matt from Rolling Heavy Magazine, which is a huge custom van magazine, is going to be there. And I was like, tell all your van buddies to come to Las Vegas. Those guys know how to party.
Oh, the van guys. I mean, yeah, no kidding.
So I said, I'm trying to. It-
Speaking of
I
lights,
would
yeah, lights
I
and
would love,
bonfires.
yes, I would love nothing more than Muscle Cars at the Strip to be an amazing festival for just car enthusiasts in general. Um, obviously with heavy, heavy muscle cars. Uh, but I don't see anything wrong with trucks and cool vans. Let's make it a party. It's Las
No,
Vegas.
well,
It's got to be a muscle
it's
car
a
party.
car. It's a you're a car person. It's a um yeah. It doesn't matter if it's a muscle car or not. And
Yeah,
what is a muscle car really?
yeah,
As we talked, a '55 Chrysler 300 is a muscle car. Damn it.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. If it's got a V8, if it's got a slant six or something, just keep the hood closed. um, no, I'm kidding, of course. Uh, I think this year has the potential to be one of the best in many years, if we can get the word out there. And I'm trying to drum up some good ideas for
Agreed.
promoting the event.
Phil did say, he said he thinks it's going to take on a different tact, and he's all for it.
Yeah,
Meaning that he thinks it's going to start developing a different kind of life of its own. And
yeah,
uh, if it does and keeps going, and it yeah, again shows more potential, I think Phil's passion will continue to be to drive it, and that's what we need.
absolutely.
So
And if I have to go to every gentleman's club in Las Vegas to promote the bikini contest to women that are available at that time of night, I will do it. I'll take one for the team. um,
I'm sure you will.
uh, no, I think we're gonna have to talk to Phil. I think embracing the nightlife aspect of it a little bit will be fun. We'll see what happens. But Phil's been pretty receptive to my ideas and stuff, and
Okay,
I
yeah, I
think
don't think, that's a good. I don't think we've ever tried a bonfire out there. I can only imagine what um, Speedway Corporation would say. But they do all sorts of crazy shit out there. They do have the what they call the Eel Electric Daisy Carnival Festival out there, something like that. That
at the
brings, it's
Speedway.
like Burning Man in Vegas. That it's all over there.
Oh,
It's
okay.
it's a huge festival, and we're talking like 100,000 people.
Oh, wow.
It's a massive deal. Yes, because sometimes that event butts right up to our event, and it's like they've got silver tents with giant toys that people and it's like just nothing but a big hippie fest for
That's
like
funny.
it's like Las Vegas Burning Man, but it's right there at the track.
Wow. Well, if they allow that kind of stuff, then I'm sure they can
Yeah,
allow
exactly. I'm sure they
some
can. But
the muscle car festival.
well, uh, yeah, I like let's some more nightlife, something very
Yeah.
Vegas.
Something very Vegas, yeah. Let's make this a muscle car festival, not just an event. You know, you can't go around calling it the wildest muscle car party in the West without making it the wildest muscle car party in the West. Let's make it the wildest muscle car party in the
True.
West. Maybe
Okay.
lean heavy into that aspect this year. The wildest muscle car
Sounds
party in the
good.
West. So
All
I
right.
hope Phil will be open minded to that. You can tell him the bikini contest was my genius idea. I'll be one of the head judges of that. No, that'll anything to make it fun, you know. Um,
Yeah.
Rick in the chat asked if the show is promoted at any of the hotel casinos. I don't know. I know they do a lot of advertising, not Matson, but I know they have a bunch of places to advertise within the casinos. I just don't know
I
if
believe
that's
he does. You know, he spends a lot on local advertising.
yeah.
So it's usually on the radio a couple weeks prior,
Okay.
and then all during the event. I'm pretty sure it's on the local radio, and even some of the TV stations. Last time we had, you know, like I said, Phil knows everybody, and last time we had um, a couple of local news channels out there. Um, there's a whole show called Spirit of Nevada with Samantha Cheon.
Yeah, yeah.
Her and her producer were out there. Um, uh, you know, he's done a lot of different promoting every which way from Sunday. Doesn't mean there's not more we can try or do, but um, yeah, there's a lot of promoting at the time in Las Vegas. So as far as at the
Uh,
local hotels, I'm not sure, but I know it's all over the radio.
yeah. Um, I think I think with I think if the nightlife type thing is embraced a little bit and the show isn't over when the sun goes down, um, I don't know, I think there's something there. I really do. I think it's just a matter of getting the crowd, get as many
Well,
people
and
as
that
possible.
and that was one of the things a lot of people liked was the cannery. We all go over to the cannery, which is about 5 miles away, so not
Hmm.
very far. You get there, um, everybody to hang out, and then people leave from there. You know, because that was over about 10 o'clock. So some people go go to the room, go to bed. Some people go downtown partying.
Yeah.
Um, you do whatever you want to do in Vegas, right?
Hmm.
So it would be neat if we could kind of bring that type of atmosphere back, have a separate show at night or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
You know,
Uh,
maybe
like I said, at Duct Tape Drags, the bonfire, I was like, oh, this is where the event is. It was a lot of fun. Everybody just hanging out, talking cars, and having fun, having some
that's
drinks.
true. I don't know. I don't know who doesn't like a good bonfire. So that would be, yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Um, well, if anybody can put it together, Phil can figure it out.
I think so. And I don't know if he's the problem is I've never been to Muscle Cars at the Strip when it was Mopars at the Strip at the cannery. So I don't know what it was like. I only hear things. Um, but I think
It was
if
just like you in like you're describing. You know, the party
yeah,
kind of moved to the cannery.
yeah,
Everybody moved over there, and it was a lot of fun. It was very, um, um, everybody was there. Um,
yeah,
so, and then once the cannery went, and again, it was, they just changed owners, and the new owners said they didn't want a thing to do with the car people. So, just not much we can do about it. But he does have the track, so and it is a huge facility. So yeah, why can't we make it work at the track? Good question.
yeah, yeah. We don't need the cannery. We don't need a casino. Like let's just have the party let's make it the wildest muscle car party in the West.
Okay.
So that's what if I get a chance to talk to Phil, well, I have to mention some of that. But I think there's something there. Um, yeah, I just can't imagine that. I mean, if you're a car guy and you're in Vegas and you're going to Muscle Cars at the Strip instead of partying at the Strip, then I mean, why not have the party at the Strip too? You know what I mean? Like,
True.
aside from gambling, make sure that everything that Las Vegas has to offer is at Muscle Cars at the Strip.
Yeah.
Cars, girls, drinks, a nice bonfire, social atmosphere, a
Well, and
band.
Phil he always hired showgirls to come around and do pictures with when you get
Yeah,
a trophy.
yeah,
You went over behind the banner and got the showgirls with the big plumage and all
yeah,
that crap.
yeah.
You know.
Hire about 20 more of those.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. I mean, anything we can do. I think if executed correctly, this could be like the rebirth of muscle cars of the strip. We don't
Okay.
need the cannery. Let's make this the wildest muscle car. Let's make it, you know, I would love nothing more than everybody that goes to be like, that was a party. Not
Well,
that was a fun drag race. That was a fun car
yeah,
show. That was a muscle car party.
right. True. Yeah, everybody sits with their cars around there and yeah, BS's as long as you want.
Yeah.
And if you want to, if you're staying at the track, you melt back into wherever your camper, your trailer, your motorhome is.
Yeah.
And if you're staying at the hotel, you just head to the hotel.
I was gonna get an Airbnb, but if there's a party at the track, I may do one of those things where you can rent RVs and they'll deliver them
Yeah,
to the venue.
you can rent a motorhome. I did it in March, and it was really easy, super convenient.
Yeah. So Johnny
The guy
Mopar, if you're
dropped it
still in the
off.
chat,
Yeah, the guy dropped it off at the track,
yeah,
and then I left it at the track, just out in the parking lot for him.
yeah,
It was
yeah,
really convenient.
that would be perfect because I really don't want to. I'd like to be by my vehicles, and I'd like to
Yeah.
have them by me.
Well, the only downside as far as RV parking, there's really no, you're self-contained, and it's only 2 days, so you should be able to figure it out. But there's really no RV plugins or anything like that. But
Oh,
shit,
yeah,
you don't need that.
no, no problem at all. Yeah, Johnny Mopar, if you're in the chat, we might have to talk about renting a big RV. Because if it's a party at the track, I'm staying at the track. No need to go to the strip.
You know what you need to do, Chris? Speaking of those
Hmm.
motorhomes we talked about, you and Johnny get on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, find yourself like a mid-70s Dodge motorhome, and that'll be your project motorhome at the strip.
Oh, that
Drive
would
it
be
in
funny.
there and see if you can survive without getting bed bugs for 2 nights in some broke down old RV that, although if it has a Mopar drivetrain, I'm sure it'll run it'll run pretty damn good.
We'll just park it at Phil's place right in his driveway and be like,
Exactly.
we'll
That
be
can be the
back next year.
That can be the bonfire.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Oh,
We'll just
man.
light that thing on fire when we're done.
That is hilarious. Oh, man. No, I'm super excited for Musclecars at the Strip. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Just from my circle of friends that I've been talking to, it is going to be a party. I mean, I've got a bunch of
And that's
people
a
that are
really
setting up in the swap meet that are going to be right next to each other. And of course, me and Johnny Mopar and a bunch of our other buddies, some of our duct tape drag buddies are probably going to be coming up to Las Vegas. So I know my squad's going to be there. It's going to be a party if we're there. So the more the merrier.
well, and that time of year, it's what, March 17th, 18th, something like
Yeah,
that.
17th through the 19th.
That's a perfect time of year because it's
Yeah.
not, it's still cool at night, nice, and it's warm during the day. It's going to be perfect.
Yeah. No, it'll be awesome. If we could get, it's Las Vegas. They have to have some sort of like a food truck, but for like mixed drinks and stuff. We need one of those when the sun goes down.
I'm pretty sure that they have something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, because I imagine that there's a certain point where the track's going to be like, all right, we're sending our people home. No more hamburgers
Right.
and stuff for you. So if we can get something like when they shut down these other food trucks and drink trucks, I think the mixed drink trucks is going to be a lot of fun. And then obviously people are, it's Las Vegas, they're going to bring beer and stuff. So, but
That's a
if
good
we,
question. I'm sure it brings a whole nother element because you got to get insurance at the track, and if you have actually, promoting drinking at the track, then
yeah,
that
that's
could
true.
be a whole different ball of wax. But
That is true.
we don't have to promote drinking. We can promote the bonfire.
That's true. Yeah.
And then if and then we can all just enjoy that.
Yeah. It's going to be a party no matter what.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, I think Phil will be open-minded to embracing the nightlife a little bit.
Sure.
At the track, it should be fun. Definitely, I was talking to him about some of the well-known celebrities in the automotive community that he's been talking to, so that'll be fun too if we can get some of those guys out. But yeah, I think it'll be fun. So we'll see what Phil has to say.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, Absolutely. Well,
So
Bill,
you got your 72 Roadrunner should be done by then.
it'll be there. It'll be there. Whether it runs and
Okay.
drives, I'll tell you one
340
thing.
car, right?
344 speed. Yep. Yep. Nicest
Okay.
car I've ever owned. A little too nice for me. But I gave up my beloved truck for that thing. So I
Yeah,
didn't
I
give
saw
it
that.
up. I didn't give it up for nothing. So I got to get that thing running. And I want nothing more than I have to, if I'm taking that thing to Las Vegas, I'm cruising that son of a bitch down the boulevard at least once. I want to see the Las Vegas
Awesome.
lights on that beautiful tawny gold. So
Okay.
we'll see. But
That
it
sounds
will
great.
be
And that's an
it will
awesome
be
road
awesome.
trip too.
Yeah.
That's a little long from Puyallup. Well, you're in Marysville, right?
I'm in Marysville, so it's a if I go the speed limit according to Google Maps, it's a
Marysville,
little
what's
bit
that,
less.
north of Kirkland?
Yeah, it's I work in Kirkland. Marysville's like east of Everett,
Oh, okay.
or a little bit northeast of Everett, I should say.
Right.
So not too far, about 40 minutes north of Seattle.
I was
But it's about a
stationed at
7.
Oak Harbor for a while.
Oh, okay. It's about a 17-hour drive. So I need to I need to talk to my work because I'm going to need the
It's a nice 2-day
Thursday.
drive.
I need a Thursday. I'm gonna make it in one. I'm a
We
truck
used to
driver
have
for a
a
living.
big group that came from Washington.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we used to have a big group that came from Washington.
Interesting. Well, I'm gonna try to make it in one day. I'm gonna try to get Thursday off, leave Wednesday night, and then I'm gonna have to leave on Sunday because I'm gonna try to get Monday off, and then
Yeah.
make the drive all night. And
Yep.
as a
Back in
truck
one day.
driver, as long as I'm not hauling 80,000 pounds,
Yep.
I can drive all day.
You can
So
do it.
it'll be fun. But I'm looking forward to it. And like I said, if you talk to Phil before I get a chance to, just kind of run some of those ideas by him. It might be a little bit of a less of a hit coming from you. If
I don't know about that. He's more unfiltered with me, I can guarantee that.
I'm sure he is. I can tell he holds back sometimes when I talk to him. But yeah, let's I hope he's open-minded to sit down and kind of throw some ideas around. I don't know. Phil's kind of
He will be. He will be.
I can't tell you that I can tell you that I was a little nervous coming to him with the Project Cars at the Strip thing. I was wondering if he was going to be like, "You mean to tell me you want me to embrace a bunch of pieces of shit coming to my show?"
Shit boxes oil down the track every 5 minutes. Yep.
Yeah. It'll be fun. But I'm gonna open up the chat. If you're more than welcome to stick around, Bill. But I think there's a few people lingering. We'll see if anybody wants to jump on. But it's also almost 3 hours into the show, so so did you know that I know that my buddy Dustin up here in the chat mentioned so every year at Carlisle they have like a special exhibit of cars, and they're focusing on the Malaise era of Mopars between 70 and 80 this year. So that's what's going to be in the building at Carlisle, which surprised me, but every Mopar deserves some love. I'll probably avoid Carlisle when they have the PT Cruiser exhibit, but
yeah, I think I need to do.
But 75 through 80, they got the Muratas, they got the Aspens, so they got some the last hoorah of rear wheel drive V8 cars before the front wheel drives.
Anybody looking for disc brakes for your Mopar, come there and find it. For your old Mopar.
Oh.
Well, it was an interesting era in Mopar's history. That was in '78. A lot of the dealers quit selling because they were pretty sure Chrysler was going bankrupt.
Yeah, that was a very interesting time. I believe that's when Iacocca came up with the Caravan and the front wheel drive stuff to kind of revive
Well,
them.
Iacocca famously went to and a lot of people say that the government did bail them out, although Chrysler paid them back with interest ahead of time. It wasn't we'll give you this money and then you do whatever we want. No, they gave them the money, and it helped them, but they paid them back with interest ahead of time. Yeah, Iacocca was one of the one of the funnest cars I had, Chris. I took to the Concours de Le Mans. It was an '83 Chrysler Town and Country convertible.
Oh, cool.
The shelf paper Woody, I called it.
Yeah,
It had the super anemic 2.6 Mitsubishi
Oh
piece
God.
of junk.
Yeah.
But it had that voice, the digital voice. The door
Yep.
is ajar.
Ajar. Yep.
For the
That's
And my
man.
son's like, the door's not ajar, Dad. The door's a door.
I
So I had
cannot
that
tell you.
at the Concours de Le Mans, and it was a lot of fun.
That's
Concours of
awesome.
Lemons.
Yeah, that I think I just talked about it on one of my recent episodes that I was trying to bring a picture of my dad's 85 Dodge Daytona Turbo Z to show and tell so I could tell all my friends at school because nobody believed me that my dad had a talking car. And I was like, it talks just like Knight Rider. And, I'm
Yep.
in third grade. So kids are calling,
Right.
even in third grade, they're like, no, he doesn't. I'm like, yes, he does. I'm telling you, it talks. Like, I was getting pissed that nobody believed me that my dad's car talked and I couldn't bring the
Right.
car into the classroom. So I was like, I'll bring him a picture. I'll be like, this is the talking car. Show me a car cooler than that. I thought it was the coolest car on earth because, when I was that young, my
Yeah.
dad had the black Turbo Z and he had his black fully customized boogie van. So I had these two awesome Mopars in my life that I always bragged about, but nobody believed me. It's like, man.
Yeah. I kind of got sick of hearing your washer fluid is low. So,
I'm desperately looking for one of those voice modules for my 87 Shelby Z. I need to find one. But they're
yeah.
very hard to find.
Well, I'm sure they're out there.
They are. I've been looking.
So as far as what do we think of it? I don't know. I guess we'll know when we see the display. I'm hoping to be at Carlisle, not necessarily for the display of Melee's era cars, but it should be interesting. There were some of the Aspen kit cars were pretty cool.
Yeah, those are probably my favorites.
The Circle Track kit cars, that weren't those late 70s Aspens? Or
Yeah.
didn't they also have like the Roadrunner that was an Aspen?
Yeah, the Valaris, and they had some. Chrysler was still trying to embrace what they could, even though
The Cordobas were, could be cool. Or the Chargers or the Magnums were pretty cool. The 79 300 was a neat car. I had the E58 360, same motors in the Little Red Express.
Yeah. They had
there were some cool cars.
They were really trying still. Unfortunately, the EPA was really making things a little difficult.
Yeah.
But Carlisle is definitely an event that I'd like to go to someday.
Well, I'm planning to this next year. So
yeah. Have you ever been to the Wellborn Muscle Car Museum?
I haven't. They were going to do that when they revealed when Courtney did the reveal for my son with our Roadrunner. They were going to do it at the Wellborn Museum, and at the time Luke was still in chemo treatment, and so I told Courtney that Luke couldn't. There's no way he could fly, so we couldn't do it. But I did meet a guy that's supposedly, good buddies with Tim Wellborn, and tells me he can get me in anytime if I go back there. All I got to do is go. It's in Alabama, right?
Yeah. It's a place that I've wanted to go for so long.
Well, that's got to be similar to what the awesome trip you had to the Brothers Collection, huh?
Yeah. The only thing with the Brothers is I walked in there and you look around, they got a Lamborghini Countach, they got a Bugatti Veyron. They've got all these amazing exotic cars, Porsches, Shelby cars, and I beelined it right for them. I didn't look at any other cars except for the Mopars.
It'd be the same thing I do, Chris. I go to Pebble Beach and I'm like, where's the Mopar? Seriously, I do.
Well, I was with a local Mopar club.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. I was with a local Mopar club, so I thought, oh man, it's going to be tough to get content because everybody's going to be swarming the Mopars. And I walked in and I realized everybody was starting at the beginning of the museum, and I was like, oh, so I just beelined it right for the Mopars, and
Yeah,
there was quite a few shots I
yeah.
got where it looked like I was the
Who
only
wants to
person
look at a
there.
Bugatti? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think on my way out when they called over the speaker that everybody was leaving, I think I walked over to the Countach because of course I had a poster of the Lamborghini Countach on my wall as a kid. I went over there,
Right.
stuck my head in it, and took a big whiff, and I said to myself, I still like the smell of an old Mopar better, and I wish I had gotten that on camera because it was really funny. Because I went over there with the purpose. I saw the window open. I was like, I want to smell the inside of a Countach. I don't know why, but I'm obsessed with the smell of an old Mopar. And you
Smell like
walk
Farrah Fawcett.
around. Yeah. When I was over by the Mopars, I could actually smell the interiors of them, and I was like, I just love that smell. And that Countach did not smell as good as an old Mopar. I will say
Nope.
that. But I thought it was funny. I was like, I should have recorded that because it was funny. But a very amazing collection of cars. I didn't realize that it was only half of what they actually have, but it was. I've seen so many pictures of the place, and when you're there and you're reading the reader board, I didn't even have enough time to get all the content I wanted. Because every car had a display board in front of it that told you the rarity, and it's like every car they had was rare. And there was a point where I was like, this is how messed up I was there. There were so many Hemi cars. I was like, man, there's not one small block in here. And then while there's a wall of six-pack TAs and
Right.
ARs, and I was like, oh yeah, there are small block cars. What am I talking
Yeah.
about? I was like,
Well.
they all have six barrels. But
Yeah. Huh.
very, very cool collection. It was just amazing. Just I remember, I think I took a picture of it. I ducked down, and it was like a sea of shaker hoods. I was just like, this is unbelievable. you know,
Wow.
they had the first and last Hemi Cuda convertibles to roll off the assembly line, which I thought was just awesome. The 70 and then the 71. So very cool. Uh, but for me, it's like these are all awesome cars, but they're so out of my league
Yeah.
that I was just like, it's
Well, I
like,
don't. It's. I have no interest in really. And I don't know if that's a. I try to be more open-minded
mhm,
about other cars, but I'm just into Mopars. That's it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm sure if I had looked, because from what I understand, I didn't see any of them, but I guess the Shelby collection that's there is amazing. They had
Were there Shelby Mopars?
no. Shelby
Well, then
Mustangs
it's not a true Shelby collection, is it?
that's true. That's very, very true. Have you ever been to the Shelby Museum?
In Vegas?
I think that's where it's at. Yeah, I'm wondering if there
Uh,
are any Shelby Mopars at the museum.
I've heard there's one.
Man, what a shame.
Well, Shelby himself had, and it was sold at auction just a couple of years ago.
That's right.
GLHS Omni.
That's right.
He had the Omni, not the Charger. He had the
Yeah,
GLHS.
yeah. That would be too bad if you went there and they didn't have all the Shelby Mopars. I would feel a little disappointed in that Shelby museum because I know that he's famous for the Mustangs and stuff and the Shelby Cobra and the Daytona, but he did have some. He had his buddy Lee Iacocca,
Yep.
but yeah, the Brothers Museum was a very cool collection, and I would go back just to look at all the Mopars again. But I had no regrets about not seeing any of the other stuff. Really, I saw it at a glance. I walked by them, but when
Yeah.
you get a chance to look at that many um, low production, rare Mopars, as a Mopar guy, man, it's like, wow. I couldn't help but think how much money in Mopars is in this. I'm like, man, I heard that the collection total is valued at like $500 million. Um, I thought that was underestimated, but
Well, the total, if he's got Bugattis in there and stuff, it probably be more than that.
that's what I thought. And I'm looking at some of those Mopars. I'm like, a couple of these have to be $1 million cars easily. The Hemi Barracuda convertibles, the Hemi
Well,
Cuda
especially the
convertibles.
Hemi Cuda. Yeah, those are. Uh,
$1 million cars.
well, they're $6-7 million cars.
Yeah.
I guess depend.
So
Didn't they Cuda convertible sell for
I
71
think
Cuda convertible sell for 6 million?
I think so. Yeah. I know that the first one that sold was 3 million, and that happened in Seattle. And then I know that
Right,
there was another one that went for even more. Um, I was a little
right.
disappointed that there was only a small handful of wing cars, but the amount of Hemi cars with shaker hoods, I was like, this has to be the single biggest collection of Hemi powered cars with shaker hoods on Earth. It's just I couldn't believe how many there were. But one thing I will say is I was looking at some of these cars, and they have I think a majority of them have had high dollar restorations. And I was looking at some of them, and then when I got home, I was looking at my Roadrunner, and I was like, now I know my car's not perfect, but I was like, you could have parked it next to any one of those, and the body work and paint work would have held up. I was like, wow.
Nice.
So it gave me I already appreciated the car, but it gave me an even more a deeper appreciation for the work that my friend Pete put into it, because it was going to be his personal car, and he would never slack on a personal vehicle. So he did a
Uh-huh.
really good job. And I got home and I was like, wow, this car holds up. So, and
That's
I guess
killer.
for me, it's just because I've never owned anything that nice. And
Well,
Pete really,
you're gonna have to bring it this now because I got to see
oh
it.
yeah, oh yeah, I will absolutely bring it. Um, but yeah, I'm really excited about the event in general. I'm even more excited about bringing
So this
a
is
car.
tow. So we'll get here's the deal. We'll get Johnny Mopar to find a shitbox Dodge motorhome in SoCal, drive it up
Yeah.
to Washington on with an open car trailer, pick up your car, fix your car once you get it back to the track with the shitbox motorhome, so you can officially drive it into the track, so you
Yeah.
can be eligible for the.
I I I will never forgive myself if I don't drive that car in Las Vegas. But everything I've got my schedule planned out for how uh, the
Is
process
there
of how
anything
I'm
else
going to
you
build
need, or
this
you just
car.
need to get the motor done?
The motor's done. I just need I've got a $10,000 worth of receipts for the build. So the engine's been built, the cam's broken in, it's been dyno tuned. I just need to put together the electronics, put the radiator in, put the hoses on, um, and it's pretty much ready to go. Uh,
Tranny's in it.
Transmission's in it. I do have to change the tail housing because it's a 68 Charger 4-speed, and
Yeah.
so but I don't think it's a rebuilt transmission. So I'm thinking about yanking the whole thing and just taking it to a local transmission, because I've never rebuilt an 833, and I really don't want to risk uh blowing the transmission apart and not being able to get it back together because I don't know what I'm doing. Uh so I'm probably going to have it built and then just bolt it into the car for peace of mind's sake.
Sure.
I would really like to build one, so I'll find a core down the line, and I'll rebuild one at another time, but I really don't want to risk sabotaging myself to get the car to Musclecars at the Strip. Um,
Sure.
so I got a quote for about $1,000 to have it fully rebuilt. So that's what I'm going to do. Um, and other than that, I got so many parts for that car. I need some, if I really want to go all the way, the first goal is just to get it running. Once it's running, then I got to work on this. I want to rebuild the front suspension, which isn't that expensive. And then, if it's got a rebuilt transmission, it's ready to go. Throw the drive line in it, which I have.
Why do you have to rebuild the front suspension? Is it
It's
dead,
old.
or
It's original. I want it to be, if I've got it
you just got to
blown apart.
get a press? You press the bushings out and
I was looking at some of the front suspension kits that are out there, and
mhm.
they're reasonably priced.
Yep.
Um, so regardless, uh, it doesn't need to be anything extreme. The car is pretty together, with the exception of the interior and a little bit of the engine. And the glass needs to be put in, but it's nothing too crazy. I told a couple of the people that asked, I was like, I'll drive it to Vegas without any glass in it. Like, I'm not driving the car I'm trailering the car to Vegas, but I was like, I'll pull that thing off the trailer with no glass. I don't care. I was like, as long as it runs and drives, I'm driving that. I'll drive it with no glass down the strip. I don't care. I was like, I'm driving that car. So,
Good.
um, but the only problem I've been having is finding the upholstery for this thing. So I gotta make a couple phone calls and see. Um, I think I was telling you about that on the phone. I gotta figure
Yeah.
that out. But it does have seats. I just don't like the seat covers that are on it. So if I have to roll those just to have something to sit on, I'll do it. I don't care. The car's gonna be there. Um,
Good.
I'm hoping people will be like, "Why is this in the project car section? It's done." And I'm like, "I know, right? It was a project." That'll be a huge milestone for me because every project I've had, I've failed at and sold. So I'm hoping that this one is the one. Especially, like I said, I gave up my beloved truck for this, so I don't want to blow it, and I have
Is
to
the motor
get this
built
car
at
done.
all?
Yeah. It's got a little carb on it.
Well, because if it's a
Edelbrock injection.
72 340, then you don't have the big valves in it.
It's a warranty block with X heads, and
Oh,
so
X-heads.
yeah, so it's been warmed over a little bit. I think it dynoed
So it's
at
a good 340 because
yeah,
70. So X heads was on what, 67 to 70
yeah.
340s, and then the J heads, but with the big valves was in 71,
Hmm.
and then 72 you went back to the smaller heads.
Yeah, so
So
it's got I think
you
it's
got the good heads.
yeah, I think there's 69 X heads, I think. I know they're X heads, and the dyno sheets show, I believe it was 360 horsepower. So it's nothing too extreme. It doesn't even
Oh,
have
that's
headers
great
on it.
though. That's
It's got manifolds. It was gonna be a driver, a very, very nice driver car.
yeah,
Not a race car or
that's
anything.
plenty of fun.
Yeah.
You should be 360 to the wheels,
Just on it was engine dynoed.
engine dyno.
Yeah. So probably around 300, I
That's fine
imagine.
because your normal uh Roadrunner only had 335. It was rated at 335.
Yeah, and that was with the 383.
Um, and
This
so
is a little 340.
your 440 car was 375.
Yeah. So this is,
So
and it's got the
it should be
4-speed.
fun.
It'll be a fun
Yeah,
car. Yeah.
be a
Um,
lot of fun.
it'll be a great cruiser, and I'm really
Yep.
excited about it. So,
What gears you got in it? You know,
I think they're 391. It's a 391 sure grip, I believe. Or no, I'm wrong. 355s.
oh, that's
Yeah,
great. Those are good.
355s. Yeah.
323, in my opinion, are the ideal street gears, but 355s are great.
Mhm.
Still be able to cruise plenty. 391's probably a little low for street and but
I believe it's 355s. I would have
yeah,
to look.
355s are perfect.
I have a copy of the build sheet here, but I believe when I looked it up, it was 355s. 40s.
Nice. Okay. Well,
But it was great having you on, Bill. It's been a while since we had you on the show. I'm glad we got you on today.
yeah. Thanks for having me, Chris.
Yeah, you're welcome back anytime. I know that Phil and I were talking about doing another promotion because I'm going to be promoting the event from here on. But
Okay.
yeah, you're more than welcome to come back. I'd like to have you back with Phil to talk some more about mats.
Okay.
And
if anybody
I
has
guess
any questions about like I said, the Chrysler Club, I'm on a crusade to try to preserve the history. Not just to the club, but Chrysler, of course. We don't know how much longer Chrysler's going to be around. Hopefully, well longer, but
yeah,
it's reduced to a make at this point, and we don't know how much longer Chrysler's going to be around. So
I heard they had a concept airflow. Is that true?
yes,
Like
it's
they
an
brought back
electric.
the name?
It's a concept airflow. It's electric. So we'll see how that goes. Carlos Tavares has said he sees it as one leg of a three-legged stool, so necessary for the entire company. But we'll see.
Oh man. All right, buddy. Well, we will see you. We'll see you next time. We'll get you on for the Musclecars at the Strip show that we're gonna have.
Sounds good, Chris. Thanks.
All right, buddy. Thank you. And that 1 year Steve Johnny Mopar says, thank you, Bill Adams, for joining us. Again, chryslerclub.org. You can get 6 months for free. $40 a year. That's nothing. I get the newsletters and stuff. Good reads. Johnny Mopar says 1 year Steve Strope built a Duster for a giveaway at Matt's. We can all finish Chris's car and get it. Right. Yeah. If I have to, I will fly Tall John out and get him to finish the car for me. Oh man. Well, I threw up the link in the chat. Nobody wanted to join. We've gone for 3 hours, and I think I'm going to call it. So, thank you all for joining myself and Bill. It was a good live, a long live. I wasn't expecting to go that long, but it was fun. Dean, thanks for joining us in the chat. Johnny, thanks for joining us. Peckerwood, God, so many people joined us tonight. It's a lot of fun. Dutch guys, Rick, Mark, DRC was in here. Joe's Mopar Mess, of course. Paul, Mike Coffee, Braden, and all my other friends. Thanks for joining. And we'll see you next time right here on the best Mopar enthusiast-driven podcast on planet Earth, Talking Mopars. Remember, no Mopar left behind. We'll see you next time. There you have it, my friends. Another episode of Talking Mopars is in the books. For everything you need to know about this show, you know where to go, talkingmopars.com. And you can reach me by emailing Chris at talkingmopars.com or by leaving me a voicemail on my voicemail box at 209-28-MOPAR, and you just might get to hear yourself on the show. So keep sharing those Mopar stories with me and anything else that is on your Mopar addicted mind. Special thanks to my friends at DIYHemi.com. For those of you that don't know, Blake has rebranded DIY Hemi, so although the website is still DIYHemi.com, DIY Hemi is now Sublime Technologies. So if you've been considering swapping a modern Gen 3 Hemi into your classic Mopar, then reach out to Sublime Technologies, get a hold of Blake, and tell them that I sent you. Blake has supported me from the beginning of this show, and I also support him in his mission to Hemi swap the world. Also, don't forget how important it is to keep your Mopar protected from the elements. If you need protection, don't wait. Head on over to TalkingMopars.com, click on the Affiliates tab, and go get your Mopar covered today. Before we shut this podcast episode down, if you want some Talking Mopars merchandise like t-shirts, hoodies, stickers, and more, check out the merch shop on TalkingMopars.com. I am working on some new merch. I said that on the last show, and I am going to let you guys know when that new gear is available. One final thing, if you'd like exclusive bonus episodes of the podcast as well as exclusive bonus videos, they are available only to my Facebook subscribers. Become a Facebook supporter today and get immediate access to those benefits as well as a monthly supporter giveaway. You can do all that by going to Talking Mopars Podcast on Facebook and clicking the subscribe button. That's it, my friends. Until we talk again, I am your host, Chris Albrecht, and that was Talking Mopars.
Thank you for listening to Talking Mopars, your direct connection to all things Mopar. Until next time, remember, no Mopar left behind.